And I want to say thanks to each of you for being here today, taking time out of your schedule to be here, to network, to be with one another, talk about the vision of the state, what's going on, and how can we all together make some continued positive impacts. I'm so honored and so humbled to serve as your state treasurer. It is truly an opportunity that you give me, and I take it to heart and work very, very diligently with a staff and team that works every day on your behalf. So thank you for allowing me to serve in this capacity as your state treasurer. I want to give you a few updates on what's happening in your treasurer's office. Just to be mindful that we do $26 billion a year of transactional work on your behalf. That's just running the state business. But some of the other big things that we do that are so important, they're going to go right to the heart of what we just saw on that wonderful video about our museums. Partnerships. And what we're doing and everything about MEC is all about partnerships and why it's so important that we as a unified front do things together. So first and foremost, I'll tell you a little bit about unclaimed property. One of my favorite programs that the Treasurer's Office runs, and we have the opportunity to give you your dollars back. They don't belong to the state, so our job is to give back to the rightful owners. And so currently we just hit $76 million. $76 million given back to you through unclaimed property. So that's going to individuals, families, businesses, municipalities. So what does that say? That says that's economic dollars going back into the economy, turning over 7 times. Sometimes it's paying the rent. Sometimes it's just making a big difference where someone can buy some groceries. But it belongs to you, and so we take that and we're very compassionate about giving those dollars back. So $76 million, that's an exciting program. So the other thing we do in our daily course is we're very engaged in proactively managing the debt for the state, right? So I see that as an opportunity to leverage, to make a difference, to work very hard to see where our bonds are, where can we refinance, and how can we save you taxpayers' dollars. So with our last refinancing that we just did, we just hit over $1 billion. $1 billion in taxpayer savings. That's a lot of dollars to be managed on your behalf. That's a cost saving. So that's something we go out and we actively seek because it's important to us. I do that with the State Bond Commission, serving with certainly the governor and the Attorney General. But we see that as our role is to always look for those opportunities to act on your behalf. Because I'll remind you that debt service, paying on our debt, is the 3rd largest part of the budget. So did you know that? So our debt service is the 3rd largest piece of the budget at around $485 million annually. So anytime we seize the opportunity and we leverage, we're going to take that and try to save taxpayer dollars. Another program I'm so compassionate about, continue to make college savings available. I mean, these young people have dreams because ultimately we're talking about the workforce. We're talking about getting people educated, prepared to be the next workforce, to sit here, to be the members of MEC. So how are we doing that? Many of you are participating. We do the 529 plans in your treasurer's office. But here's what we found, that if we partner with you and you do payroll deposit, that means you can take that out of that individual's check and you can put it in a 529 plan and you can do it as little as $15 a month. We're making huge headway, right? We are saving for those children to be educated, and we've got a great institution of higher learning system, community college, vocational school. All those dollars can be used in that capacity. So we've moved very, very diligently to work and to partner with all of you, and I hope you will consider doing that because we just recently hit over 150 employers. So that's large employers, middle-sized, small, whatever the case may be. We'll come set it up. It's affordable, whatever that individual can put up for that child or those children. And for me, it's so rewarding when somebody says, I wasn't saving for my child or my grandchildren, but now I'm putting up $25 a month. I didn't have a vehicle, a savings opportunity to do that. So we've got 30,000 employees that are putting up in their saving through payroll deposit. And you know why we say deposit? Because you're depositing the future for that young person. And if you do that, that child, no matter what dollars you put up, they're 7 times more likely to go and further their education. 7. I mean, that is worth it. That means we should do that every time we have the opportunity. So if you're not involved and you'd like to be involved in Payroll Deposit, please see me or check my website. We'd love to get you engaged because this, again, is an economic driver. Financial education. You know, I'm so compassionate about how we begin to change the financial culture. And one of the first times I stood at MEC, I talked about this. And I said, we all have to do something together. We have to make a difference. We're number one in poverty. We're 49 and 50 in providing financial education to our children. And how do we change the dynamics? What do we all do together? And so let me give you some great statistics in 3 years. Created a partnership being key. And that's public, private. And what are we all doing together? Raising money, putting it into schools. And here's where we are in 3 years. We've been able to get in over 350 schools. We have new numbers of having, and this is for public, private, parochial schools. 66,000 students have had some financial education in the last 3 years. 255,000 hours of learning in financial education in 3 years. And 1,200 teachers have been trained. Now think about that for a moment. Mississippi Council on Economic Education, training our teachers. Teachers have a tremendous circle of influence. They're in there with their children. They're in there making a difference in their communities. And they're changing the financial culture. And so with this public-private partnership, it's only cost us $1.11 to get this information to our children. They're so well worth it. Again, our workforce, getting them prepared for the future in this piece of the business. So if you're not involved in team and you'd like to be, we'd love for you to be a partner. Because the more of us that are engaged, the more we change the financial culture, the more we empower people, and we get them prepared to be next step. Now, there's one other part of the workforce, the piece of legislation that I'd like to see passed. I think is important to all of us because as we're in this business environment, what else can we do to help our workforce? What else can we do to prepare our young people for the future? And this is a nonpartisan, it's a right thing to do. It's pay equity, fair pay. You know, our state is only one of 2 states that doesn't have any fair pay laws. One of 2. The only other state that has not acknowledged fair pay is Alabama. I think we should beat Alabama on this one, right? Let's try to go ahead and make a difference. But why is it so important? What does it say? Because we don't have this where we acknowledge women and being valued. It really hurts us in our business environment. As we're trying to bring young women into growing businesses, new companies coming here, we need to say that women are valued and that we believe in equal pay in our state. Because we haven't always done that. So where were you all in 1984? Everybody think about that for a minute. What you did in 1984? I see some young people, you weren't even born, right? 1984. Mississippi finally ratified the 19th Amendment. 1984, we finally said we ratify the right for women to vote in Mississippi. It's pretty alarming. So that's why it's so important that we now say pay equity is a part of the business community. That's where we want to stand up and say, yes, absolutely, gender pay, fair pay is important to the state of Mississippi. There'll be some legislation that will come up. I hope you'll encourage your legislators to support it. But let's talk about why it's important in the big scheme of things. Because for women to be paid equally, that begins to change the poverty. We're still number 1 in poverty. That begins to break that cycle. You know, right now, we have over 3/4 of our children live in poverty that are headed by single households of women. And because we don't pay equally, and as the governor said, daycare, you add all these together, it's very hard to make that change, to make that adjustment. But we need to, and this is something that we can all do together. It's important. Right now, young women, the new statistics show in our state graduate and get degrees. They're 60%, right? So if we don't say to those young women, we want you to stay here in one of the greatest places to live, which is the state of Mississippi, we're going to lose them. They're going to go elsewhere. We're going to lose them to another state that says we have fair pay laws and we believe in you. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to say that to those young women. We want them to stay here. But interesting enough, the millennials, all millennials right now, every study shows that millennials believe in fair pay both ways. They think that their peers should be paid equally, and it's so important. And again, the business environment. So I hope you'll consider that as something that you will support in your business, and you will help support that as it goes through the legislative process, because it's an economic driver. It's our workforce. And all these add up to why we're such a great state and how we can move forward together in a unified front. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being so driven in our economic and our business climate. It means so much to where we'll move into the future. So thank you so much, and may God bless you.